Hello, Flosstube. I'm Elizabeth Martinez, phantastitches, and this is my Flosstube update number 257. Hold on just a second. Sorry. Um, this is a channel about cross stitch for those of you who might not know. So let's get started, shall we? Today is the 12th of November, Saturday the 12th of November. Yesterday was Veterans Day, and so thank you to all the veterans, active duty and retired and maybe passed away, like my dad, who have all served in the military in some capacity or other. It's something that, my my uncles were all involved to one degree or another, except my Uncle Joe, who had a hearing issue. But but the others were like my mom's brothers and my dad's brothers served during World War II. My mom's brothers, I think, were stateside, but my dad's brothers were overseas. As a matter of fact, one of my uncles, one of my dad's brothers, was shot down over Burma, and the other served in Europe. And anyway, so they all and my mom's youngest brother went to Vietnam, was drafted and went to Vietnam. So and then several of my cousins and all that, and were in the military, and so that's that's part of our family. So thank you to all veterans who served in various capacities in the armed forces. Anyway, so then I talked about this last week, and you'll see it's taken down there because I wanted to bring it up close. So this is the little pumpkin that my sister bought at the dollar store, and this is, you can get all kinds of, they have all kinds of wooden things. It's very light, like a balsa wood kind of thing, but they have all kinds of shapes and things, there at the dollar store that are just very inexpensive, and they have like paints and things like that. I think she stained this. I'm not sure, but anyway, so this is a Stitching with the Housewives design. It's part of their What's in My Cup series, and so there's looks like a turkey down here and a pilgrim, and it says thankful across there. So she stitched this and finished it. There's some little pom-poms, a little pom-pom trim, and a rickrack trim, and this is fabric. Last week I showed you the project bag that she did, and this is that herringbone fall fabric that was on the back of on the inside of those bags. Anyway, that she, like I said, had some corn on the cob picks and this fall ribbon and some raffia, and made this little bow. There's a cute way to finish it, and it's much more imaginative than I am, because I have a box full of stitched things that are not FFO'd. So I'm going to set this over here for now. Anyway, so so I did a little bit more stitching. I started on my one of my November WIPGO projects, because I didn't want to put it off until the last minute, and I was just, like knocking around with nothing to do. I didn't stitch anymore on the rabbit stitching that I showed last week. So I just did a little bit more on the Nativity berry and the one of my WIPGO projects. Excuse me, I have a cat hair or something in my mouth. And then I did something for Veterans Day, just a little bit of stitching for Veterans Day. So Let me think. Yeah, I'm a little, my brain isn't working today. So, like I said, I did a little bit of stitching on the Nativity berry, this Erica Michaels, this smaller berry here. And I'm doing it on 25 count Lugana in the color steel blue. This is from Hobby Lobby, 25 count Lugana. And I'm stitching 1/1. So Mary's robe is kind of, because of the variegation in the thread. It's and I wasn't very mindful of whether I was which end of the thread I was using, so it came out very dark on one side and very light on the other. But Mary's robe is finished, and these little cutouts, the things are where there's other colors being used. But I did the little sheep at the bottom because that helped me sort of make sure I was doing the robe correctly or whatever. So, and this is the only place the white is used, is in these little sheep. And so because there's like some swirls and stuff, there's a bunch of cat hair on this, there's a bunch of like some swirls and things around here, like this, and angels and things like that are all in I think it's an off-white that's used here. The only true white that's used, as I recall, I have to look at the pattern again, but is in these, in the sheep down here. And I think this is an off-white color, slightly off-white, the way I remember. So anyway, so I did a little bit more. So this color is done. The halos and this star, these are all in this one color. I think it's whiskey, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's a Week Star Works color. Yeah, whiskey. That's there. So that was the Nativity Berry by Erica Michaels, and then I did some work on my WIPGO project on the balcony, but I interrupted that yesterday because yesterday was Veterans Day, and I did a little stitching on the piece that I designed for my dad. I had started it, and then I was thinking about if I wanted to use a different fabric or whatever. But in the end, yesterday I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to finish it on this color because I like the color. And I think the colors that are on here will look good on this color that I chose. So this is the design. This is Wayfaring Stranger. It's a hymn that we've sung in our family for as long as I can remember, from my grandmother and all that. So it says, "I am a poor wayfaring stranger while traveling through this world below. I am just going over Jordan. I am just going over home." And has my dad's name and dates there. And so there's just some sheep and fish in the river. And actually, I had changed the design a little bit and put some more fish in here to represent all of us in the family. My brother, my sister and her son, me, and my younger sister and her husband and kids. So there's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fish in the water here, rather than just 4. But so these are my dad's parents and siblings, and my dad. Hold on, I'm going to think for a second. Wait. Yeah, my Aunt Sylvia. All of these family members have passed away except my Aunt Sylvia, and I think I did a sheep for her, and my dad's over here. Even though my Aunt Sylvia is still alive. But anyway, so yeah, that was the design I did. And so I stitched just a little bit on it when I first worked on it. It just this, I did corner start, and I had just done the top and a couple of stitches down the side of this frame. This is the frame on the outside, and so I just finished this side of the frame and then turned the corner down here. So I've counted it a couple of times, so it should be correct. And this is 1/2 on this. This is a I want to say 40 count embroidery fabric is what it's what it's called at Hobby Lobby, and they have I used this for a couple of other projects. They have a set of colors. They have 2 sets of colors at Hobby Lobby, and so they have a lighter set that has like a blue and a green and things like that, and then they have like a earth tones kind of set. So so this is like a grayish color. It's a kind of a bluish grayish shade. So anyway, I worked on that a little bit yesterday, but the one I did the most work on is this on the balcony, and this was a design that my sister Eve did from a photograph that I took of my cats. This is my cat Puck, and this is my cat Snug. And Snug is sitting out on the balcony, and Puck is sitting on the table inside, looking out onto the balcony. So before, all I had done was this part of this post and this part of the post, I think. Yeah, this part of this here. I think this color right here, because I did a center start. And so there was just the outline of where Puck's head was going to be. And just this little start on the post. And this is this is slightly crinkled because I actually had to you know, I have like a little bag, you know, I have these like little, you know, paper printout sheets, and so that, you know, I usually try to keep them in there so they don't get crunched by my elbow, the cat, whatever, you know, sitting on it. Like this has been all wrinkled. And the reason I pulled this one out to look at it was that in looking at the pattern, I wanted to make sure that I was seeing it correctly. So I had to reference the picture version of it so I could see the whole thing at once to make sure I was doing it correctly, whatever. So this is what I worked on. I worked on basically on Puck's face, or his head. So this is all in black. The coverage is okay. There's a couple of places where I apparently, it looks correct in the back. Like there's no, you know, where I missed the hole or whatever. But it's just, you know, tension issues, I think, that made it come out weird. Like this one little place right here. Trying to get the thread in there. But anyway, that's the inside of his ear and his eye. You can tell a little bit. It's green. And then there's the little white for his chest. He's a tuxedo cat, so he has a little bit of white. So that, I think in the picture, this is the only white you can really see because of the way he's sitting on this thing. So there's a whole lot of black that goes in here just to fill in the cat. But I think this is the edge of the picture here. Yeah. And so I think what goes up here is part of the balcony railing. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try to put that in there just to get that done, because then that'll be, this part will be done. And then there's one line of a different color along this side of the post here. And so I want to get all that done now that I have this done, because this gives me something to count off of, because the balcony railing comes right off of his back here. So so I want to go ahead and do that so that this quadrant of the pattern is finished. And then I obviously have a lot to do on this side. Yeah, so the goal, this is on 28 count Lugana that I think I just tea dyed it or whatever myself. So it's kind of this off-white color. And this is 2/2 with DMC. Yeah. So my goal, my WIPGO goal for this is 10 days. And I started, I think on Monday, this past Monday. So, so I've worked on it all this week except for yesterday. So the 10 days should be, I think the 17th will be 10 days. So we'll see how that goes. And yet on Tuesday, I didn't stitch a whole lot on it. I'm still counting it as one day because, you know, if I do any stitching at all on a project, you know, I count it. And so Tuesday, I didn't stitch until very late at night. And then I did try to stitch for a little while, but I didn't stitch quite as much on Tuesday as I normally do. And part of this is because on Tuesdays, it's an exhausting day for me a lot of times because I have Bible study in the morning and I have orchestra rehearsal at night. And I don't remember what happened during the day on Tuesday in between. A few different things. And so it just like is Tuesdays are kind of exhausting days for me. So I ended up not stitching until very late at night. You know, so, and then also, Thursday, Thursday, was when we filmed our Sticks and Strings video, but we didn't get to it until the evening because Naomi had an appointment, I had an appointment, Eve had an appointment, and you know, and so, but for me, it was at the eye doctor. I went last week for a different thing, but this week to, you know, because I have an annual diabetes check or whatever, so they had to dilate my eyes and all this stuff for this particular appointment, and so I couldn't stitch. I think I stitched in the morning, but like at when we did our video, it was after 5 sometime, and I was still like very blind. With my glasses on, I could see, but I think not well enough to really stitch, you know, without making mistakes. And so it wasn't until later that evening that I was able to do a little stitching. But so during the video, you know, usually during the video, I pick something simple to stitch on so I can, you know, talk and stitch at the same time. Much like you do for, you know, retreats and stuff like that. You don't want to have anything too intricate or detailed. But so while I was, so during the video, instead of stitching, I made a couple of scissor fobs. I made this one. Eve bought some interesting little Christmas charms. So here's a cat, like in a stocking. Here. And then I just had some beads that I had. I had these little cube, little kind of crystal plastic. They're plastic, but you know, whatever. Crystal-y beads and some stars. And these are jingle bells. And this sort of big gold bead there. So there's this scissor fob. And then there's another one. This one, big peppermint. And I used, again, some just green jingle bells this time. And these roundy, sort of crystal-like beads. So there's this one. Anyway, so I thought I would do those two for Christmas. I'm assuming that my sister Eve can put those on the Etsy shop at sometime in the next few days. But then so today we went to Hobby Lobby and to the attic. So the reason I went to Hobby Lobby, I think I mentioned this last week or the week before, or maybe I mentioned it during the Sticks and Strings video. I'm not sure. But, you know, I've been collecting the Cottage Garden Samplings A Year in the Woods patterns. And so I think I mentioned it last week or the week before. I don't know. But the I had the owl was one that I was missing. That was number 8 or 9. And then number 11 was the beaver. And I had seen online number 12, which is the reindeer, or the deer. I don't know if it's specifically a reindeer or just the deer, but it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's huge antlers and, you know, curly antlers or whatever. It's just gorgeous. And so I thought, well, you know, next time I go to the attic or whatever, I want to look for that pattern. And I almost bought it online because there were some threads. I think I had seen. I had looked for it. It was one of those, you know, the Gentle Arts threads that are hard to find sometimes. And I had looked for this particular color at the attic a few times and you know, hadn't been able to find it. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to look online. And I went to embroidery.com and had looked for it. And even there, they were out of it. So I had checked the little box that said, you know, let me know when this is in stock. And so I got an email from them a couple of days ago. So I decided I was going to go ahead and order those threads from them. And then there were a few other colors that I had been looking for that hadn't been able to find. So I went ahead and placed an order with embroidery.com. So I went and looked at their site for the reindeer, but they were out of stock. They didn't have it yet. So I didn't order it. So then today, when we went to the attic, that was one of the patterns that I ordered. And I ordered a Misty Pursel, the last Mousecapades pattern, because it wasn't in yet either. I think they were waiting for their Hoffman order, whatever that is, that the name of the company that you know, that handles a lot of these patterns, whatever. So their shipment had not come in yet, but so I went ahead and ordered the number 12, the deer or the reindeer, the A Year in the Woods, and the number 7 Mousecapades, which is the larger one. I have the individual first 6, but the 7th one is the larger one that, you know, if you want to stitch them all together, you know, you have 3 and 3 in this middle one. So I still haven't decided what I'm going to do with them because I'm just collecting things. Anyway, so we went to Hobby Lobby first this morning, and I got another hoop because, you know, I have so many projects. You know, I wanted to have, you know, more to choose from. And I got another pair of scissors because I have an addiction. And I think I had talked about earlier the Year in the Woods. The reason I got started on the Year in the Woods is because I'm wanting to do them on more or less all the same fabric. And so I was looking at it at the patterns more carefully this past week, and I realized that I had assumed that the colors. I think last week or the week before, I bought a couple of things of Carolina linen. It's a DMC tube, I think, at Joann's. I had gone a couple weeks ago, and I bought this Carolina linen, thinking that that's what I had. That I had dyed a few pieces of fabric, maybe 4, I think, pieces of fabric for the Year in the Woods animals, because I wanted them to all be on more or less the same fabric. And I know that the fabric that I had dyed had a color already. You know, like the Carolina linen has kind of a sand color, a light, natural kind of color. But the more I looked at it, I realized this is not Carolina linen. This is something else. And I had a couple of packages of Belfast linen, and it looked a little more like it. And the Belfast linen I have was a darker color like this. And I think that's what I did. And because of the size of the thing. This is 32 count Belfast linen from Hobby Lobby. And so I think this is what I used to dye for that. And then, so I was looking for more Belfast linen there when I was at Hobby Lobby, and they did not have this color. This is just as natural. And then this is also Belfast linen, but this is white. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use this as well, but just, you know, maybe add a little brown dye to it, you know, when I dye this, so that it comes out more or less the same shade that I have for the other animals, which is it's green, but it has, because it has this color to start with, it's a little bit, you know, off of just a regular green color. So I'm going to have to tweak this one a little bit so that it comes out more or less the same way as the rest of them. But anyway, so I got this Belfast linen, and I probably need, you know, maybe 3 more of these. I think I have 2, and this makes 4. And I think I need 1 or 2 more to make to 4, because the size on these is just a little bit too small to put 2 of the animals on each piece, I think. So, you know, I don't want to squeeze them, you know, together or whatever. So but then so that was at Hobby Lobby. And then we also went to the attic. And like I said, that's where I ordered those other 2 patterns that I couldn't find. And I got some more floss drops. I've been buying these because, because I have a box that has like a bunch of kitted patterns in it. And the threads in those are either they're, you know, big hanks that they put in these kits. They're just kits that I bought at various points. And so they have either these you know, hanks of threads, or they have sometimes those little cards of threads that, you know. But so I want to take those threads and put them all on these thread drops from that I have from the attic. I also want to try to making some, but that's kind of in the offing right now. So then the other thing, so I was looking around when I was looking for those 2 patterns that they didn't have yet. There was one that I almost got. It was like bunnies and carrots or something like that. And I almost got it because I have a thing about rabbits, apparently. But I like this one, and I decided not to get both of them because it was just a whim kind of to get them. But this is by The Mindful Needle, designed by Dawn Friske, Friske. And I know that name. I've done something else by her. But this is called Reindeer Dance. And it's a really pretty, just a monochromatic thing. I think she used navy, 28 count cast shell linen in navy. And it's over 2. I want to say, is it 2 over 2? I don't know. Or you could do it on 28 count Belfast antique white over 1. It just depends on how big you want it. Finished size on 28 count linen over 2 is like 5 by 5, and then finished on 28 count over 1 is 2 by 2, basically a little over 2 inches. But the stitch count is only 71 by 73, so it's really not that big. Sorry about the glare there. I'm trying to, but so it's really pretty, just like these snowflakes, and and then the reindeer on the corners. Yeah. So yeah, so this is by, and I think the thread is Gentle Arts Chalk. Yeah, which I probably have, and if not, I've got lots of different points. As a matter of fact, from embroidery.com, one of the colors I ordered was Shaker White, which I had not been able to find. But so that is probably it. I have a couple other secret stitch things that I might do for Christmas if I can. They're relatively small projects, but we'll see how much time I have. I'm sort of like getting to where I have to decide, like, do I have time to do this for Christmas? Christmas stitching, as well as like WIPGO stitching and things like that are sort of, that I'm sort of obligating myself to. But the Christmas stitching I want to do, as well. So I want to pick things that are maybe smaller. So I haven't decided yet, but I have to decide very quickly because December is upon me. And so I'm trying to see, and I'm trying not to be too boring with, like, I'm going to stitch things for everybody, because, I've done that like several years. It's like, it's kind of, I don't know. But also, you don't want to like buy a whole bunch of things for people to have, because if people have enough things. But so I don't know, we'll see. We'll find a balance between things and things like, you don't want to get food for everybody either, like things that can be consumed and used and whatever. But it just depends on what speaks to you about, what would be a really great idea for this person or that person. Sorry, I have a little tickle in my nose. But anyway, so a few more days on the balcony, and I think, let me see my calendar here real quick. Hold on one second. Yeah, so I will have finished my 10 days on the balcony stitching, and then I have 10 days to go on the Daily Walk in the Woods design, which is my other WIPGO pull for this project for this month. And also in that mix, I'm hoping to get the Nativity berry done. It's it's a little difficult because it is 1/1. It's very tiny, so that's a little harder for me to do. But I'm hoping to get that done, as well as some of the things, and so so for next year, for my WIPGO goals, I think I was talking with my sister. She was saying, well, you could put like do an FFO, do FFOs for your WIPGO goals, and that way that'll only take you a day or two to do, and then then you have all this rest of the month to do whatever. That might be a plan. Because it will give me an opportunity to get a lot of things FFO'd. And then just like, free up the rest of the month to do a whole bunch of stitching. Because I have, of course, I have a whole bunch of all the projects that I used for WIPGO for this year. Of all of those, I mean, I did have like I have had a whole bunch of finishes this year. Some of them were WIPGO finishes, and some of them, a lot of them were other things. But so maybe I can work in a way to maybe put just a few days to work on stitching on a particular project, as well as an FFO, so that I can do like say 5 days on this, and a day on FFOing something, so for like say number 2, I could put FFO this, and 5 days on that, so that when number 2 gets called, then I just stitch for 5 days, but I have the FFO, and that's another day or whatever, and then I have the rest of the month, to do whatever other WIPGO number is called, plus whatever, anything and everything. So I don't know, I haven't thought it through completely to set up my WIPGO board for for next year, but that's a possibility, to do smaller goals plus an FFO, and for each number called, and that way I can start a million things. Whatever. So I think that is about it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I meant to mention. Again, like I said last week, we're having a little sale on the Etsy shop, so go to that. 3 Sisters Creative. Oh, I wanted to say, when we were at Hobby Lobby today, when I was checking out, the girl at the checkout was remarking on the scissors, and she's thinking, oh, those are really pretty, and I told her that, yes, I cross stitch, and that I have an addiction, a scissor addiction, and I have a pair of scissors in pretty much every project, whatever. And this other lady at another register overheard me saying that I cross stitch, and so as I was walking out of the store, she stopped me. She goes, "Did I overhear you say you cross stitch?" And so we had a little moment there talking about cross stitching, and so I think she started stitching like in the early '90s, and she said somebody that she knew was I guess like at a store or something, taught her how to do it, and then she said she hasn't looked back since. So but she didn't know about Flosstube, so I said, hey, if you have you have internet access, you have YouTube, and she said, yeah. I said, just go in there and look for Flosstube. I said, you'll see a bazillion channels, and they're all about cross stitch. You can find what you like, so yeah. I hopefully turned her on to Flosstube, but so yeah, that's it. So like I said, check out the Etsy shop, and maybe you'll find something there. They're great for Christmas gifts, and for yourself or for others. So there's, again, project bags with notion pouches. There's needle minders. There's scissor fobs. There's a few patterns on there, things like that. So yeah, so dig around in there, look around. Maybe you'll find something you like. Other than that, I think that's it. So I will see you next week. Hopefully I'll be done with my 10 days on the balcony, and have some more stitching done. And I will see you next week. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.